What really happens when a narcissist meets an empath? Not just in ordinary life, but spiritually, when the universe itself seems to shift. Imagine all the manipulation, lies, and control attempts suddenly running into a wall of divine energy, where God steps in and changes everything. In 2026, something extraordinary is happening. The energy of empaths is rising like never before, and the tactics of narcissists are failing in ways they can't even understand. You might have seen someone you know trying to pull the strings, only to be met with calm, unshakable strength that seems almost supernatural. That's no coincidence. It's spiritual protection activating, destiny aligning, and God moving in ways that shake the invisible world around us. Stick with me until the end, because I'm going to reveal the exact spiritual shifts that happen when this meeting occurs, why it matters for your life, and how you can harness this energy for your own protection and growth. And hey, if you feel the energy of this message, hit subscribe, drop a comment, and share your story. Your insight could help someone else awake to the truth too. When a narcissist meets an empath, it's not just a clash of personalities, it's a collision of energy. And in 2026, that collision is being influenced by something much greater than human understanding. Spiritually, the empath carries a sensitive, intuitive energy that can feel every hidden motive, every unspoken manipulation, and every attempt at control, even before the narcissist fully realizes it themselves. Normally, narcissists thrive on draining others, twisting perceptions, and bending situations to their favor. But when God steps in, everything changes. Divine intervention doesn't just protect the empath, it actively restores balance in ways that the mind cannot fully comprehend. The energy of the relationship shifts, almost as if an invisible hand is reorganizing the entire dynamic, and suddenly the narcissist's strategies begin to fail. Subtle coincidences, sudden insights, and moments of clarity emerge for the empath, guiding them to make choices that align with their highest good, while simultaneously revealing the narcissist's true nature to themselves and others. It's not about punishment, it's about spiritual equilibrium. The empath may start noticing a calmness in their heart, a sense of detachment from the chaos, and an inner guidance that tells them exactly what to say, when to step back, or how to respond without getting trapped in the usual games. This divine support also strengthens the empath's boundaries, allowing them to protect their energy effortlessly, without anger, resentment, or the need for confrontation. Meanwhile, the narcissist, unaware of the spiritual forces at play, feels confusion, frustration, and eventually a sense of losing control, because their access to the empath's energy is no longer available. In these moments, God is not just shielding the empath, He is actively shaping the outcomes, ensuring that every step leads to growth, liberation, and spiritual awakening. By restoring this balance, divine intervention transforms what could have been a draining, destructive experience into one of empowerment, clarity, and healing. The empath begins to see the relationship for what it truly is, free from illusions, while the narcissist's influence diminishes naturally, leaving them powerless to interfere with the empath's journey. This spiritual orchestration is precise, subtle, and often mysterious, but its effects are undeniable. The empath may feel a sense of peace, an almost unshakable confidence, and a clear understanding that they are supported on a higher level. In essence, divine intervention in these relationships is about realigning energies, exposing hidden truths, and allowing the empath to move forward in life with protection, strength, and clarity, while the narcissist's control evaporates quietly, like mist in the morning sun, leaving space for growth, light,
and spiritual harmony.
As the interaction between a narcissist and an empath unfolds, there comes a moment when the empath's spiritual armor begins to activate, almost as if a protective shield rises from within, guided by intuition and divine energy. This isn't something that happens overnight or as a result of force. It's a subtle awakening that builds over time, often triggered by repeated encounters with manipulation, lies, or emotional pressure. The empath starts to notice patterns they once overlooked, recognizing the subtle ways a narcissist twists words, distorts reality, or plays on emotions. In this moment, their awareness shifts from reactive to proactive, and the spiritual protection they carry, sometimes dormant or hidden, begins to expand. It's as if an invisible energy envelops them, strengthening their mind, heart, and soul against influence, making it harder for toxic behaviors to penetrate or disrupt their inner peace. This activation is both intuitive and divine. The empath senses boundaries forming naturally, not out of fear, but out of alignment with a higher truth. Thoughts become clearer, emotions feel less volatile, and responses are measured rather than automatic. Even when the narcissist attempts the usual tactics, guilt, charm, intimidation, the empath experiences a quiet detachment, a resilience that wasn't fully there before. This spiritual armor doesn't just protect, it empowers. The empath begins to move with confidence, guided by inner knowing rather than external validation. They can feel when an interaction is safe and when it isn't, when engagement serves growth and when withdrawal is necessary. This energy often manifests physically as calmness, mental clarity, and a heightened sense of boundaries that others may feel unconsciously but cannot breach. At the same time, the narcissist starts to notice the shift, though they rarely understand it fully. Their usual control falters, manipulation loses impact, and they may experience frustration or confusion because the empath is no longer accessible in the same way. Divine alignment plays a key role here, subtly orchestrating moments where the empath's insight and protective energy are reinforced, providing both clarity and courage. It's a transformation that feels internal, yet impacts every interaction externally, creating a new dynamic where the empath can operate from strength rather than vulnerability. Over time, this spiritual armor becomes more intuitive, almost automatic, making the empath increasingly untouchable to emotional harm. What once left them drained or confused now passes like water over a rock, leaving no mark, no attachment. The activation of this protection is not just a defensive mechanism, it is a declaration of spiritual sovereignty. It signals that the empath is fully aware, fully awake, and fully supported, able to navigate the world with discernment, clarity, and the quiet confidence that comes when divine energy and personal intuition combine into an unbreakable shield. When a narcissist encounters an empath whose spiritual armor has activated and whose energy is aligned with divine guidance, their usual tactics begin to crumble in ways they never anticipated. The lies, manipulations, guilt trips, and emotional games that once worked effortlessly suddenly lose their effect. The empath no longer reacts with fear, anger, or confusion, which are the very triggers narcissists rely on to maintain control. Instead, the empath responds from clarity, calm, and an inner knowing that comes from spiritual alignment. And this shift disarms the narcissist completely. They may try to charm, threaten, or provoke, but nothing elicits the response they need. Their control, which was once automatic and unquestioned, now feels fragile and unstable. There's a subtle but unmistakable power dynamic change, almost as if the universe itself is tilting in favor of the empath, reinforcing boundaries that the narcissist cannot breach. Divine energy plays a quiet yet profound role here, guiding the empath to see through deceit instantly and act with discernment, often before the narcissist fully executes their manipulative plan. As the narcissist senses resistance where there was once compliance, confusion and frustration set in, sometimes manifesting as desperate attempts to regain influence or as subtle gaslighting that now only exposes their vulnerability. The empath, however, remains grounded, observing without attachment, which only amplifies the narcissist's sense of losing control. This process is not about confrontation or revenge, it's about energy realignment, spiritual clarity, and truth prevailing without force. Every attempt the narcissist makes to reclaim dominance is met with the empath's unwavering awareness and inner protection, making manipulation ineffective and leaving the narcissist to confront their own powerlessness. Over time, patterns that were once predictable and exploitable become entirely inaccessible, and the narcissist may even feel the panic of losing the familiar sense of authority they relied upon. From a spiritual perspective, this is divine intervention at work. The empath's alignment with higher energy ensures that they cannot be coerced or drained, and the narcissist's control, which depended on imbalance and confusion, naturally dissolves. In essence, the empath's spiritual awakening and the divine support they receive act as a force field that neutralizes manipulation, leaving the narcissist exposed, powerless, and increasingly irrelevant. The more the empath grows in awareness and connection to divine energy, the less the narcissist's influence exists, until their attempts at control become futile, and their presence in the empath's life no longer carries the weight it once did. This is the turning point where the narcissist truly loses control and the empath steps fully into clarity, freedom, and empowerment, guided by divine protection that ensures they remain unshaken no matter what strategies are attempted. The year 2026 is unlike any other, marking a profound energy shift that amplifies spiritual awareness and brings a unique cosmic timing for awakening, particularly for empaths navigating relationships with narcissists. This isn't just about personal growth, it's about alignment with larger universal cycles that encourage breaking toxic patterns, restoring balance, and stepping into a higher state of consciousness. Spiritual energy is flowing in ways that make manipulation and deception increasingly ineffective, and those who have long felt drained, controlled, or confused are suddenly able to perceive the hidden dynamics that once kept them trapped. Empaths, in particular, are experiencing heightened intuition, sharper clarity, and a stronger sense of purpose, which allows them to navigate life with discernment, even in the presence of toxic personalities. The energy of 2026 favors action that aligns with divine timing, meaning the empath's steps toward liberation, healing, and personal sovereignty are supported at the cosmic level. Situations that once seemed endless or insurmountable begin to resolve naturally, often in unexpected but perfectly timed ways. Boundaries that were previously ignored or disrespected are now naturally reinforced by both internal awareness and external circumstances, making it almost impossible for a narcissist to regain control. At the same time, 2026 brings a collective energy that exposes hidden truths, not only in personal relationships, but in social and professional dynamics as well, allowing empaths to see patterns, intentions, and motives that were previously obscured. This energy shift also encourages letting go of old trauma loops, emotional entanglements, and soul ties that no longer serve one's growth, creating space for spiritual and emotional freedom. It is a time where patience, inner strength, and faith intersect with opportunity, offering a rare chance to step fully into empowerment and clarity without resistance. For the narcissist, this cosmic timing is disorienting. The strategies that once worked are suddenly ineffective, and their influence begins to dissolve as the empath's alignment with higher energy strengthens. What unfolds is a natural recalibration of power, where spiritual truth and integrity take precedence over manipulation and control. The energy of 2026 encourages empaths to trust their inner guidance, remain steadfast in their boundaries, and embrace the unfolding of divine timing, knowing that every step they take is supported by the universe. This year, more than ever, marks a turning point. Toxic cycles are broken, spiritual growth accelerates, and the empath emerges stronger, wiser, and unshakably aligned with their higher purpose. In essence, 2026 is a gateway year for transformation, a cosmic reset that empowers empaths to move forward with clarity, protection, and divine support, ensuring that manipulation, control, and toxicity no longer have the power to hold sway over their lives.
Silent justice is a concept that few truly understand, yet it is one of the most powerful forces at work when a narcissist meets an empath who has awakened spiritually and aligned with divine guidance. Unlike the confrontational or vengeful justice humans often imagine, silent justice operates in subtle, unseen ways, orchestrated by a higher power, and it is perhaps the most devastating outcome for a narcissist, even though it occurs without conflict, drama, or retaliation. The empath, through healing, self-awareness, and spiritual alignment, naturally distances themselves from the narcissist's manipulation, not out of spite, but out of clarity and self-preservation. In this process, the empath moves forward in life with confidence, peace, and purpose, and every step they take away from the toxic influence becomes a demonstration of divine justice in action. To the narcissist, this is both invisible and inescapable. They may attempt to maintain control, create chaos, or lure the empath back with charm or deception, but nothing works because the empath is no longer energetically accessible. Their freedom, self-respect, and spiritual growth are the ultimate punishment the narcissist could ever experience, and it unfolds quietly, without the empath needing to prove a point or engage in confrontation. This form of justice is perfected by the divine, ensuring that the narcissist's influence diminishes naturally and their attempts at harm are rendered irrelevant. As the empath continues to heal, boundaries solidify, intuition sharpens, and emotional responses become calm and measured. What once left them vulnerable now passes over them like water on stone, leaving no trace of the past pain. The narcissist may watch, confused and frustrated, unable to understand why their power no longer works, why their control is slipping, and why the person they tried to dominate is thriving. This is the essence of silent justice. The empath's liberation is also a revelation for the narcissist, exposing their true nature to themselves and to anyone else who may have been involved or influenced. Divine intervention ensures that this separation and growth happen without the need for confrontation, humiliation, or revenge, preserving the empath's energy and peace while still revealing the truth. Silent justice also operates on multiple levels, emotionally, spiritually, and sometimes socially. As the narcissist's patterns are observed by others, their manipulations fail publicly, and their credibility diminishes naturally.
Meanwhile, the empath's life begins to align with higher purposes, opportunities, and experiences that were previously blocked or inaccessible while under toxic influence. Every moment of healing, every decision to walk away, and every instance of self-care becomes part of a larger divine plan, demonstrating that real power is not in controlling others, but in cultivating inner strength and alignment with the universe. The narcissist, who thrives on dependency and access to energy, is left with the growing realization that their usual tactics are futile. The empath's growth is quiet, consistent, and unstoppable, a steady rise that does not require confrontation but naturally restores balance. It is in this silent victory that divine justice shines brightest, proving that control, manipulation, and deception are no match for spiritual alignment and inner clarity. This is why the empath's moving on is considered the ultimate punishment. It bypasses conflict entirely, yet achieves complete results. While the narcissist may attempt to understand, rationalize, or manipulate outcomes, they find themselves powerless, watching silently as the empath flourishes, unburdened and free. Silent justice also teaches a lesson in patience, trust, and the power of non-reaction. It shows that the universe favors those who walk in integrity, self-respect, and divine alignment. For the empath, this is liberation on every level: emotional, spiritual, and mental. And for the narcissist, it is a humbling exposure of limitations and true powerlessness. By moving forward without retaliation, the empath demonstrates that the ultimate victory is not in revenge or confrontation, but in their own healing and spiritual evolution. Every step they take away from toxicity reinforces the divine truth. No one can harm what is divinely protected, and no manipulation can reach a soul that has chosen alignment, clarity, and peace. Silent justice is not silent to the universe. It is a declaration of balance restored, cycles broken, and energy reclaimed. The empath becomes a living example of spiritual sovereignty, proving that moving on, growing stronger, and embracing one's divine purpose is the most effective, beautiful, and unstoppable form of justice imaginable. In 2026, this process is amplified, as the cosmic timing supports the empath in stepping fully into freedom, leaving the narcissist powerless, exposed, and irrelevant, while the empath rises with clarity, peace, and unstoppable strength. Silent justice is the ultimate reminder that true power does not come from control over others, but from control over oneself, alignment with divine energy, and the courage to step forward into the life one is meant to live.
Spiritual awakening for empaths is a subtle yet profound process, one that often begins quietly and gradually, but quickly grows into an undeniable shift in perception, energy, and understanding. The triggers of this awakening are many, and they manifest in ways that often feel both personal and universal, signaling a deeper alignment with purpose, intuition, and divine timing. One of the first and most noticeable signs is clarity, a sudden ability to see situations, relationships, and motivations with striking precision, almost as if a fog has lifted from the mind. Where once there was confusion, doubt, or manipulation, the empath now experiences an almost instinctive discernment, a knowing that helps them navigate interactions without falling prey to toxicity or deceit. Alongside this clarity comes a profound sense of peace. It is not merely a temporary relief from stress or chaos, but a deep, inner calm that permeates even the most challenging situations, a sense that no matter what unfolds externally, their center remains untouched and secure. This peace is often accompanied by a heightened intuition, an almost instinctive awareness of hidden dynamics, unspoken emotions, and potential outcomes. The empath begins to notice subtle energies, patterns, and signals that previously went unnoticed, giving them a kind of spiritual radar that protects, guides, and empowers. They may find themselves understanding motives before they are revealed, sensing danger or dishonesty instinctively, and feeling aligned with decisions that support their highest good without needing external validation. Another significant trigger is a growing sense of destiny, a feeling that life is no longer random or accidental,
but directed toward a purpose that is uniquely theirs. The empath starts to recognize that past challenges, encounters, and even painful experiences were not meaningless, but were part of a larger preparation for this moment of awakening and empowerment. This awareness can manifest as sudden inspiration, an urge to pursue passions or callings that were long suppressed, or a magnetic pull toward experiences, people, and opportunities that resonate with their soul's growth. During this period, empaths may also notice shifts in their relationships as they are drawn to people who align with their energy and repelled by those who drain or manipulate. Emotional sensitivity, which once felt like a vulnerability, transforms into a strength, allowing the empath to navigate human connections with authenticity, compassion, and insight. Physical and energetic changes often accompany these triggers as well. The empath may experience shifts in energy levels, a heightened awareness of body sensations, or a deeper connection to nature, music, art, or spiritual practices that awaken their soul. Dreams, synchronicities, and subtle signs from the universe may become more frequent, guiding the empath toward clarity, decision-making, and understanding of their path.
Importantly, these spiritual awakening triggers do not occur in isolation. They often build upon one another, creating a cumulative effect that propels the empath toward full alignment with their higher self and divine purpose. The timing of these triggers can be influenced by cosmic energy, life events, and personal readiness, meaning that while some empaths experience sudden awakenings, others undergo a slow, steady realization that gradually reshapes their perception of reality. What emerges through this awakening is a profound sense of empowerment. The empath begins to recognize that their sensitivity is not a weakness, but a gateway to insight, discernment, and divine connection. They learn to trust their inner guidance, to navigate life with confidence, and to take deliberate steps toward experiences and relationships that honor their energy and purpose. As clarity, peace, intuition, and destiny converge, the empath experiences a powerful alignment that allows them to see the truth behind situations and individuals, to act with confidence, and to operate from a place of spiritual authority rather than reaction. This awakening also brings a sense of responsibility. The empath realizes that their energy, choices, and presence have an impact not only on themselves, but on the world around them, and that walking in alignment with their purpose is a form of service to the greater good. Ultimately, spiritual awakening triggers for empaths mark a turning point where life begins to unfold with a newfound sense of flow, guidance, and meaning, signaling that the journey is no longer solely about survival, coping, or emotional endurance, but about thriving, ascending, and living in harmony with their highest self, intuition, and divine calling, fully prepared to navigate the challenges and opportunities of 2026 and beyond.
Breaking generational patterns is one of the most profound aspects of spiritual awakening for an empath, and it is a process deeply supported by divine intervention, ensuring that cycles of manipulation, emotional abuse, and toxic behavior no longer pass from one generation to the next. These patterns often begin subtly, rooted in family dynamics, cultural expectations, or long-standing relationships that normalize control, deceit, and emotional exploitation. For empaths, these inherited patterns can manifest as susceptibility to manipulation, codependency, or repeated encounters with narcissistic individuals. However, when divine energy begins to align with the empath, it creates a protective field that not only shields them from harm, but actively interrupts the cycle, reshaping their life path in ways that were previously impossible. The empath begins to recognize behaviors and patterns that were once invisible or accepted as normal, seeing clearly the ways in which certain relationships or interactions replicate familiar dynamics of control, guilt, or manipulation. This recognition is the first step in breaking free, because awareness brings choice, and choice brings power. Divine intervention amplifies this process, guiding the empath toward people, environments, and opportunities that support growth, healing, and self-sovereignty, while steering them away from toxic influences that could perpetuate old patterns. The result is a transformative shift in both internal and external realities. Emotionally, the empath becomes capable of responding with discernment rather than reaction. Spiritually, they experience a sense of alignment and purpose, and relationally, they attract connections that are healthy, supportive, and empowering. These shifts do not occur haphazardly. They are orchestrated through a combination of timing, intuition, and subtle signs that direct the empath toward the right decisions. As the empath strengthens their spiritual armor and hones their awareness, the influence of generational trauma diminishes, leaving a clear path for emotional and energetic independence. The narcissist or manipulative figures who may have once thrived on this inherited susceptibility find themselves unable to gain access, their usual tactics failing in the presence of divine protection. Over time, the empath begins to embody a new legacy, one of clarity, integrity, and spiritual resilience, demonstrating through their actions and choices that cycles of manipulation are not inevitable. This new pattern influences not only the empath, but also those around them, as healthier behaviors, boundaries, and self-respect ripple outward, inspiring others to examine and disrupt toxic patterns in their own lives. The process of breaking generational cycles is not always easy. It often requires courage, self-reflection, and the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about family, relationships, and self-limiting beliefs. However, divine intervention provides both guidance and protection, ensuring that the empath can navigate these challenges without being consumed by guilt, fear, or emotional overwhelm. Every decision to maintain boundaries, every step toward healing, and every moment of discernment becomes a thread in a larger tapestry of liberation, gradually replacing old patterns with new paradigms of strength, authenticity, and spiritual alignment. As the empath continues to evolve, the old cycles lose their power entirely, and their life becomes a living example of what is possible when divine energy and personal awakening intersect. By breaking generational patterns, the empath not only protects themselves from repeating cycles of manipulation, but also sets a precedent for future generations, showing that freedom, clarity, and spiritual alignment are attainable, even in families or communities where toxicity has been normalized for decades. This is the quiet yet powerful influence of divine intervention. It does not force change through conflict or coercion, but instead orchestrates circumstances, insights, and protections that naturally guide the empath toward liberation. In doing so, the empath becomes a beacon of possibility, proof that the chains of the past can be dissolved, and that the soul's journey is not bound by inherited pain or manipulation. With each boundary strengthened, each insight realized, and each act of self-alignment, the empath contributes to a larger spiritual shift, transforming what was once a legacy of control into a legacy of empowerment, clarity, and divine protection. By breaking generational patterns, the empath steps fully into sovereignty, healing not only themselves, but also influencing the world around them in ways that are profound, lasting, and supported by divine timing and intervention, ensuring that toxic cycles cannot continue to dominate their life or the lives of those who follow. The power of faith in action is one of the most transformative forces an empath can experience, especially when navigating the complexities of relationships with narcissists and other toxic individuals, because it bridges the gap between spiritual awareness and real-life outcomes,
Faith is not simply belief, it is a deliberate, conscious alignment with divine guidance, a trust that unfolds in action rather than in idle hope. For the empath, acting in faith means making decisions rooted in intuition, integrity, and spiritual discernment, even when circumstances are confusing or when external pressures attempt to sway them. When an empath chooses to trust God in the face of manipulation, deceit, or emotional pressure, a remarkable process begins. Divine protection intensifies, clarity sharpens, and life shifts begin to occur in ways that feel almost miraculous. This does not imply that challenges vanish immediately, but rather that every challenge is reframed. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to exercise spiritual discernment, and every step forward is reinforced by higher energy. Faith in action is like a conduit that channels divine energy into tangible outcomes. It strengthens boundaries, reinforces intuition, and empowers the empath to respond from a place of calm awareness rather than reactive emotion. As the empath acts on guidance from within, opportunities for growth, healing, and liberation appear, often in unexpected ways, and doors that once seemed closed begin to open naturally. These shifts are amplified because faith removes resistance. When the empath trusts God, they release the need to control outcomes or force resolution, allowing divine timing to orchestrate circumstances in alignment with their highest good. In practical terms, this may look like sudden clarity in relationships that were once confusing, timely guidance that prevents harm, or intuitive insights that allow the empath to navigate manipulative behaviors without falling into old patterns. The narcissist, in turn, senses this alignment, often experiencing frustration or confusion as their attempts to control or influence the empath fail, because the empath's energy is no longer available in the same way. Faith in action creates a spiritual shield that cannot be breached by fear, guilt, or deception, and it transforms the empath's presence into a space of stability, clarity, and light. Moreover, this faith does not operate in isolation. It interacts with the empath's spiritual awakening, intuitive development, and conscious boundary setting, creating a synergy that accelerates protection and reinforces life shifts. Every choice to act in faith compounds over time, reinforcing the empath's resilience, spiritual sovereignty, and inner peace. It is a dynamic process, one where belief is matched by deliberate, aligned action, and where trust becomes visible through consistent behavior and unwavering discernment. This approach also cultivates patience, as the empath learns that divine timing is precise, and that every event, encounter, or challenge serves a larger purpose in their spiritual evolution. Faith in action encourages the empath to move decisively, yet calmly, toward freedom, clarity, and empowerment, knowing that each step is supported by divine orchestration. It enables the empath to reclaim their energy, restore balance in their life, and create outcomes that honor both their spiritual growth and practical needs. In 2026, this principle becomes even more powerful as the cosmic and spiritual energies of the year support breakthroughs, awakenings, and the dismantling of long-standing toxic cycles. When an empath exercises faith in action, they effectively become a partner in divine orchestration, co-creating a life that reflects protection, abundance, clarity, and alignment with purpose. This process demonstrates that true empowerment does not come from struggle or resistance, but from the conscious choice to trust, act, and surrender to divine guidance while maintaining discernment. The result is a life that flows with greater ease, where manipulative forces are neutralized, opportunities for growth multiply, and the empath experiences a deep, unshakable sense of peace, knowing that God is actively involved in every step. Ultimately, The power of faith in action shows that trusting God is not passive. It is a living, breathing force that accelerates protection, opens doors, dissolves old patterns, and ensures that the empath moves through life with clarity, sovereignty, and divine alignment, fully supported in every aspect of their journey. In some cases, the narcissist's attempts to regain influence only accelerate their exposure, as their words, actions, or intentions are revealed to others, demonstrating the contrast between ego-driven manipulation and divinely guided truth. Over time, this pattern reinforces a spiritual law. The energy of control cannot dominate where alignment, awareness, and divine protection exist. The narcissist may feel a loss of power that is tangible yet incomprehensible, experiencing a growing sense of irrelevance as the empath steps fully into self-sovereignty. This divine plan does not rely on force, retaliation, or confrontation. It works in subtle, perfect ways that uphold the integrity of the empath while allowing the narcissist's strategies to collapse naturally. The empath, through patience, discernment, and trust in the divine, observes this process without attachment, recognizing that the universe itself is ensuring justice and balance. Every attempt the narcissist makes to regain control serves as a catalyst for their own exposure, while the empath's calm, spiritually aligned presence amplifies the contrast between desperation and divine orchestration. This dynamic teaches a profound lesson. No amount of manipulation, charm, or coercion can overcome a person who is protected and guided by higher energy. It also demonstrates that true power lies not in control over others, but in alignment with truth, integrity, and divine timing. In 2026, this contrast is even more pronounced, as cosmic energies support spiritual awakening, protection, and the dismantling of toxic cycles. Empaths find themselves moving through life with greater clarity, freedom, and resilience, while narcissists, unable to access the same energy, struggle increasingly to maintain influence. This ongoing contrast highlights the elegance and efficiency of divine intervention. It does not create conflict or drama unnecessarily, yet it ensures that manipulative behaviors are revealed, boundaries are respected, and spiritual growth is prioritized. In essence, the narcissist's desperation and the divine plan exist in opposition, yet together they illuminate the profound truth that spiritual alignment, inner strength, and faith render manipulation powerless. While the narcissist flounders in attempts to regain control, the empath steps confidently into a life guided by clarity, protection, and purpose, demonstrating that the universe is always orchestrating outcomes in favor of those who align with higher truth, leaving the manipulator exposed, powerless, and ultimately irrelevant. When a narcissist senses that their control over an empath is slipping, a powerful and often desperate response emerges, but it is in this very desperation that the stark contrast with the divine plan becomes most evident. Narcissists rely on manipulation, fear, charm, and psychological games to bend situations to their will, and when these tactics fail, their sense of entitlement and dominance can turn into frantic attempts to reclaim the energy they have lost. They may attempt to gaslight, guilt, or provoke the empath, sending subtle or overt signals that they are still in charge. But these attempts are increasingly ineffective because the empath is no longer energetically accessible in the same way. What once worked effortlessly now backfires, and the narcissist often experiences mounting frustration, confusion, and a sense of losing ground that they cannot fully comprehend. In contrast, the divine plan operates with perfect timing, precision, and wisdom, orchestrating circumstances in a way that exposes the narcissist's true nature while simultaneously protecting the empath. This exposure is not forced or vindictive. It unfolds naturally through the alignment of energy, intuition, and higher guidance, allowing the truth to become visible to all parties without confrontation or conflict. While the narcissist scrambles to regain control, the universe is quietly dismantling the very structures they relied upon, ensuring that manipulation no longer has power. The empath, strengthened by spiritual awareness, faith, and inner alignment, may notice the narcissist's erratic behavior or manipulative tactics, but responds from clarity rather than reaction, effectively neutralizing any attempt at influence. This is where the contrast becomes most striking. The narcissist acts from panic and ego-driven urgency, while the empath moves with calm, discernment, and divine support, allowing events to unfold in a way that restores balance without requiring direct engagement. The desperation of the narcissist is often their own undoing, revealing patterns of control, deceit, and emotional abuse that were once hidden behind charm or intimidation. Meanwhile, the empath's connection to higher guidance ensures that they remain protected, grounded, and aligned with outcomes that serve their highest good. Divine orchestration often manifests through synchronicities, timely insights, and subtle interventions that guide the empath away from harm and toward clarity, growth, and freedom.
Transformation and empowerment represent the culmination of the empath's journey, a profound shift that is not only internal, but vibrantly visible in the way they carry themselves, make decisions, and interact with the world around them. By the time an empath reaches this stage, they have navigated manipulation, discerned hidden motives, strengthened their spiritual armor, and aligned with divine guidance in a way that fundamentally changes their energy and presence. Transformation begins subtly, often with moments of insight, sudden clarity, or emotional release that allow the empath to see themselves and their relationships with unfiltered understanding. Each of these moments is a building block, reinforcing the idea that they are no longer subject to the cycles of manipulation that once drained them. Empowerment flows naturally from this clarity, as the empath recognizes their inherent value, intuition, and divine support. They begin to act decisively, choosing relationships, opportunities, and experiences that honor their energy and purpose. Spiritually, this process is guided by God's light, which shines like a protective and illuminating force around them, ensuring that every step forward is aligned with their highest good. As the empath moves through life, there is a noticeable shift in presence. They carry themselves with confidence, serenity, and a quiet authority that comes from knowing they are spiritually protected. This energy becomes magnetic, attracting people and experiences that reflect positivity, support, and growth, while repelling toxicity, deceit, and control. The empath's boundaries are no longer reactive or tentative. They are empowered and intuitive, guided by a combination of spiritual insight and practical discernment. In 2026, this transformation is amplified as the cosmic energies of the year support breakthroughs, healing, and spiritual expansion, allowing the empath to rise faster and more visibly than in previous cycles. This stage is not merely about recovery, it is about ascension, a full embodiment of the lessons learned, the boundaries established, and the alignment achieved. The empath may feel moments of exhilaration as they recognize how far they have come, yet there is also a profound humility and reverence for the divine process that orchestrated every step of their journey. Every challenge they overcame, every moment of clarity, every decision to trust God instead of reacting to manipulation has culminated in this luminous state of being. Empowerment manifests not only in their external life, but in the subtle, almost imperceptible energy they radiate, an inner light that makes their presence unmistakable. Spiritually, this is a visible sign of victory. The empath glows with resilience, wisdom, and divine protection, moving forward in life without fear, without attachment to past wounds, and without the need for external validation. Walking forward in this light, they rise above the limitations that once constrained them, stepping fully into freedom, authenticity, and purpose. The narcissists and toxic influences that once dominated their life are no longer a threat. Their attempts at manipulation or control fail silently, rendered powerless by the empath's alignment with divine energy. This is the ultimate triumph, where the empath's energy and choices, guided by faith and spiritual clarity, create a life that reflects protection, abundance, and integrity. The visualization of this transformation is striking. The empath rising, glowing, or walking forward in a beam of divine light symbolizes not just personal empowerment, but spiritual victory. In this state, every action is intentional, every decision reflects alignment with higher purpose, and every interaction becomes an opportunity to live fully from a place of clarity and divine guidance. Transformation and empowerment are inseparable. One cannot occur without the other, and together they represent the apex of the empath's journey in 2026. It is a journey that demonstrates the power of spiritual awakening, faith in action, and divine orchestration in breaking cycles of manipulation and restoring balance. The empath's glow is more than metaphorical. It is a visible manifestation of protection, freedom, and alignment with God, radiating outward to influence every area of life. As they move forward, the sense of destiny and spiritual sovereignty becomes palpable, not only within themselves, but to anyone who witnesses their presence, subtly teaching that real power lies in alignment, integrity, and faith rather than in control, manipulation, or dominance. By the time the empath reaches this stage, they are fully equipped to navigate the complexities of life with grace, resilience, and unwavering trust in divine guidance. Every step they take is supported, every challenge is met with inner strength, and every victory, no matter how quiet, is a testament to the spiritual alignment that protects, empowers, and elevates them. In essence, transformation and empowerment represent the final stage of a journey marked by struggle, awakening, protection, and faith, culminating in a life that is not only healed, but luminous, purposeful, and fully aligned with God's divine plan for 2026. The empath's rise is both literal and symbolic, a living proof that spiritual victory is not only possible, but inevitable when divine light, clarity, and inner strength guide every step, ensuring that they walk forward unshakably, radiantly, and triumphantly into their destined future.